Welcome back to the channel, you card nerds. So we can all agree, right? We can all generally agree that Microsoft Flight Sim slaps, all right? It's an amazing teaching tool to help keep people up to date on their instrument skills. It can also be great on just helping students become more comfortable with the flight deck. And it's also just a whole lot of fun doing things like flying Concords and the Dark Star. But one of the major components that are really missing, like one of them like vital components that I say, and that many people would say is missing from Microsoft Flight Sim, is a story, a campaign, a reason to keep flying. Once you knock off all the luster of flying all the different airplanes and probably spending way more money on additional airplanes than you probably should be spending, pay your fucking bills. Stop buying shit in Microsoft Flight Sim, pay your fucking bills. Okay? So we know that there is a little bit missing. That's why I am going to show y'all about Neofly. Neofly is a fun little app that builds a campaign for Microsoft Flight Sim. So when you first log in, you're probably going to be brought to like this page right here where you're going to register, you're going to put your key in. And thanks to Neofly, they actually just awarded me or just gave me this software with a bunch of keys so that I could try this software out, so that I could bring it to y'all and give you an honest and reasonable review. They don't care about reviewing this before I put it out. So this is an honest and reasonable review of Neofly. Now, they did give me the fun little pilots thing, the fun little airline thing. I think they even gave me a new voice pack for the dispatcher. So let's get into Neofly. Let's talk about all of its features. Let's talk about how awesome Neofly is. But before we do that, let's hear a message from our sponsors. Are you tired of using things like this for Microsoft Flight Sim or whatever sim you happen to use for practicing, whether it be for fun or actually practicing for training? Well, if that's the case, might I recommend Desktop Pilot. Desktop Pilot is one of the few manufacturers that actually produce equipment for your personal desktop sim that represents the aircraft appropriately. So they have flap handles that look exactly like a Cessna flap handle, and they even have entire panels of all the switches you'd ever need. They even make fun little like spring back ones, and the key even comes out in the event that you don't want somebody starting your sim. And I don't know if you noticed there, they're all held in with simple screws, meaning that you can buy individual components one at a time and then eventually build up your whole sim, as opposed to some of these other manufacturers where if you want a whole big fancy sim, you're dropping $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. These, you can buy all the components individually and put it together as you go. So go to desktoppilot.com and use promo code CheesePilot10 for 10% off. All right, so when you first log into Neofly, what you're going to be greeted with is this screen. Now, I've already got two different profiles on here because I was testing it out, showing you what it looks like, right? So you're going to click down on that little cap. You've got a couple different modes. You've got career mode, employee mode. This mode's kind of interesting. You can actually play on your buddies' airlines, right? It's kind of interesting. You're going to act as one of their employees. You know, you've got this little multiplayer feature to it. Next one is going to be company mode. This one's part of the paid features of Neofly, so you can end up running your own airline, running your own company. It's kind of cool. You get, you know, one free manager, one free plane, and one free pilot. We're going to check out career mode because, well, that's the free option for Neofly. You're then going to choose which version of Microsoft Flight Sim you have, you know, whether it be standard, deluxe, or premium. I've got the premium one, so let's go ahead and select that. Now, we get the option to choose a starter aircraft. Yes, you are pretty much starting an airline or this charter or cargo operation with these tiny little things. What you really want to focus on is weight and passengers. How much weight can you carry and how many passengers can you carry? Because you're going to be the one operating this, and none of these things have autopilot. This DR400 is pretty good. It's got a decent range and pretty good capacity. Now, the other one, that other tail dragger, it's got a slightly better capacity, but absolutely abysmal range and horrible speed. But you can even do this in a helicopter. Now, I don't know how to fly helicopters, so we're gonna swing on over and we're gonna grab that DR400. 100. Now, you're going to name your pilot. All right, we're going to name our pilot, I think, Cheese Sen. No. How about Neofly Rocks? RX, RROX, something like. All right, now this part, you got to make sure you put all caps in for your airport. Then we're going to select the profile that we want to fly. And here I am trying to delete it for some reason, but we're going to select it and get right in. And we've got our fun little loading screen. It's kind of interesting. Some of those pictures on that loading screen seem a little AI generated. But this girl, Alana, her tips are amazing. Make sure you read through them. They really help you, well, understand what's going on. Now, I'm going to walk you through a couple different features. Right up at the top, you've obviously got your airplane. You've got your jobs. You want to make sure you select the ones you want to do. Do you want to do cargo? Do you want to do people? Right? Next tab, this is going to be freelance work. This is just going to be you log in, you pop into whatever airplane you want to fly, and you just go do missions. Now, nothing's popped up here because I don't have any, I'm not logged into Microsoft Flight Sim right now, but all the things that you get, all the earnings you get in freelance apply. Now, here's your hangar. This is where you're going to have all of your airplanes. And if you do happen to run a company or an airline, this is where all of your employees' airplanes are going to be as well. I'm showing you right there how you can paint them. You know, you can pick the different liveries. You're not making custom liveries. I do wish that was a feature. Hop in their Discord. Maybe you convince them to add that kind of feature. But obviously you got your mission list. We can click there to search jobs. Then there's the cargo. All right. Here is where you're actually going to manage your flights, manage your actual missions. This is where you want to make sure that you're seeing if there's any kind of restrictions, if there's any specific aircraft, any altitude you can't cross. But when you do get in, make sure all three of those at the top are green, or else you won't either start the mission or you won't get enough experience. You won't get all of the experience available. If you don't have the cargo completely loaded up, it's going to shortchange you on some of the experience and some of the money. All right. This is your goods market where you can actually just transport whatever goods you want to move as opposed to getting a mission for it. Right. So we're going to pick up a mission going from Oshkosh to Appleton. So I'm looking around. Okay. Do I have enough cargo space for me to maybe buy a few bits of cargo and move them from Oshkosh to Appleton to make a couple $100 extra bucks, right? Because right now we're only starting out with $5,000, and anybody who knows anything about aviation, $5,000 ain't gonna get you very far at all. Now it looks like fuel might be the best option for the most amount of money. It looks like I'd make about $600 off of every unit of fuel that I move. But if you look right there, it's fragile. So if I have a hard landing, I'm gonna break those fuel canisters and lose all of that fuel, lose all of that money. Here is where you can actually purchase new airplanes for either your airline, for your pilot, for your employees, and every airport has different airplanes. There might be some Airbuses in one airport and some Airbuses in some other ones, but no airport is going to have the same collection of airplanes available for purchase, and you have to move them. Now, look, we got a 747 down in Chicago available for $325 million. We'll definitely save up for that in no time. But there's this King Air, there's a 787, there's an Airbus A310 over in Phoenix. And if you do happen to purchase these, you got to get them either back to where one of your employees are or back to your home base. Here is your career. As this is a new career, there's nothing to actually look at here, but you can search how well have you been doing, right? What are your landing feet per minute? How far have you been flying? The length you've been flying. But just because you might know how to fly airplanes, helicopters, jets, and whatnot in real life, you have to prove to Neofly that you know how to do that. So here is where you can get all of your ratings all over again. Now, you don't have to get the 40 hours and all that jazz, but you do have to do some nice landings. Here, if you get all of the stars for each rating, you get a bigger reward as opposed to not having all of those stars, right? So I've got 1 star for single engine piston. I can run down to the Fox River City Airport. It's about 75 miles south of where I currently am. And I could do it in a Cessna 172 G1000 on floats. Now, that airplane is going to be supplied. You don't have to purchase that airplane to take the test in it. That's where all your logs are going to be, all of the flights that you've done. Here's your finances. It's showing that I got initially $5,000 donated into my account by a generous donor. Here you can also take on loans. So since I am just a cadet, all I can take on is a $50,000 loan at 20%. That's a rough loan. Here is where you would manage your employees if you had the company package on top of it. This is where you'd like do all that employee stuff where you could play with your buddies. Here's the airline one where you can create your own airline. You can make your own hubs. It's a whole lot of fun. I've got it on my account. And if you're interested about it, let me know in the comments. Here, there's also campaigns. So there's like missions for you to accomplish with a little bit of a story to it. So we've got the pandemic one where you're moving scientists around. And then we've got the Cleopatra one where you're moving archaeologists around. And then we've got settings. All right. Settings is really your settings. Okay. Make sure if you're going to be changing computers, changing hard drives, there is no cloud storage for Neofly. There is no cloud storage. So make sure you use that backup progression option often so that you don't lose all of, well, your progression. And it just saves it locally. It's a file that you can keep on a thumb drive or what have you. Here you can generate helipads. Then you've got some 3D cargo objects that can be generated in game. Then you've got some offshore landmarks as well. And if you look over here to the right, this is all of the airplanes that are currently compatible with Neofly. So as you can tell, there's a whole lot that you can do in Neofly. It's not just cargo. It's not just people. You can do illegal missions. You can do skydiving. You can do firefighting. And right here in the back, this is where you can purchase all of those extra little features. Now, what I do recommend, download Sky for Sim because this gives you a user interface to engage with Neofly while in Microsoft Flight Sim in the event that you don't have an extra monitor to use. And right down there at the bottom left, that's how you log out. So let's get into Microsoft Flight Sim and try a mission. All right, we've got Microsoft Flight Sim booted up in the background. We are in the airplane that we're supposed to be in. And one of the coolest features about Neofly is the dispatcher.
Transporter from dispatch. Good morning. The cargo mission will start as soon as you get in your aircraft and set the payload.
Well, good morning.
Transporter from dispatch. Loading cargo. Please stand by.
And as you can hear, you've got the cargo sounds of like people loading cargo into your airplane. It's an absolute hoot. But as you can see right over here on the left, this is that Sky for Sim that I was talking about, where you get the user interface for Neofly inside Microsoft Flight Sim. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that big old Neofly menu, and we're going to work directly in Microsoft Flight Sim for the rest of the video. And as you can see, I can update the weight that I need for the
pilot,
mission.
That's the
in
last
just
of the
weight
crates
and balance
secured, and the
tab
cargo
in
door is
Microsoft Flight
closed
Sim.
and
Now that
latched.
you see that
You are
the
cleared
weight
to
and
taxi.
balance match, I get that extra little XP bonus. So let's get that over there, and let's get this thing all started up. And as you heard there, my dispatcher just told me that the cargo's all loaded up and ready to go. So as soon as we get started, we can taxi out.
Everything looks good from where I'm sitting. Taxi to the runway and take off.
Oshkosh ground. This is November 1 Hotel Tango, looking to taxi from the ramp to the active runway.
November 1 Hotel Tango, you are cleared to taxi via Alpha from the ramp to runway 27 for an intersection takeoff at runway 27.
Taxi via Alpha to runway 27 for an intersection takeoff at runway 27. November 1 Hotel Tango.
And here we go, taxiing along to runway 27 via Alpha. You know, this is one of the things that really does bother me with Microsoft Flight Sim. The fact that their taxiway lights are all messed up. You got them in the middle of the taxiway, you got them on the side of the taxiway, you got them marking taxiways that don't exist, but we do have a fun little taxi diagram in this Sky for Sim plugin so that we know exactly where we're going.
Oshkosh Tower, this is November 1 Hotel Tango, approaching runway 27 at Alpha. Ready to go?
November 1 Hotel Tango, Oshkosh Tower, you are cleared for takeoff runway 27. Cleared to proceed. On course. Have a safe flight.
And here we go, taking the active runway. It's an intersection takeoff. This thing doesn't have an issue with takeoff performance, but we do have a pretty stiff crosswind, so centerline means absolutely nothing to me today. I think it's something like 26 knots. I definitely need some lights so I can actually see my instruments to make sure I know exactly where I'm going. Hey, we go. Oh God, oh God. We're good. Nope, nope, nope. Oh, but all right, we're good. We're good. Maybe not. Okay. All right. Let's pull slightly. A little bit of pull. A little bit of pull. Yee. Ah. Ah. Okay. Okay. Oh no, we're gonna die. Okay. No, we're good. Taking off in gusting conditions. Now, maybe we'll pull up the flaps. No, we're good. All right.
Pilot from dispatch.
Well,
Fly safe.
obviously the dispatcher didn't see that takeoff. And as we make our turn out towards Appleton for this cargo mission, let's talk about some of the other features of Neofly, right? We've got that employee function. That employee function is awesome. In the event that you don't want to try and start and manage your own airline, you can just go be an employee for your buddy's airline, and y'all can all work together to build your funds and, buy cool airplanes. It gives you a reason to keep playing Microsoft Flight Sim, which has really been like my big issue with Microsoft Flight Sim. It's fun. It's a great training tool. It's amazing to help students practice. It's great for instrument procedures. But once you get done with all of that, well, what else do you have to do? Okay, now let's take a look at this Sky 4 Sim. As you can see, it shows me where my missions are. So I'm not confused about, okay, do I need to go here? Do I need to go there? It also has your entire access to Neofly. If you need to see what missions are available once you get on the ground and your engine's shut down, you can accept new missions from there. And it can replace the kind of dumpy VFR map that is included in Microsoft Flight Sim. And the only thing I say that it's really missing would be a VFR sectional. If there was a VFR sectional in it, that would really make it perfect, so that you could get your frequencies, the runways, what pattern you're supposed to enter the runways at, would make Sky 4 Sim absolutely perfect. And here we are, just approaching the Appleton Airport. You can see it up there off to the left. We're going to be entering a left base for runway 30. So let's talk to tower real quick.
Appleton Tower, this is November 1 Hotel Tango, entering a left base for runway 30.
November 1 Hotel Tango, this is Appleton Tower. You are clear to land runway 30.
Clear to land runway 30. November 1 Hotel Tango.
And now that we got our clearance to land, we probably should have done this a little while ago, but let's get some ATIS.
Appleton, ATIS information, Alpha. Wind, windy as fuck. Visibility, clear to million. Runway 30 in use.
Now, when you are using Neofly, just make sure that you actually use your landing lights, use your taxi lights, use all of the appropriate lights that you would normally use while operating in real life. Because if you don't, it's actually going to dock you experience points. It's going to dock you money. And your landing feet per minute matter. You need to have smooth landings, especially if you're doing things like transporting hazardous cargo or fragile cargo. You need to make sure that you're not going to upset your passengers or you're not going to damage your cargo. And given that I'm just demonstrating this to y'all, let's just slip it in, dump full flaps, crank this bank over, and get down on glide path, because I am way too high to be messing around trying to land. And look, we're turning final, got our lights on. If it looks like we're still just a smidge too high, there we go. We're back on glide path, and we've got an absolutely insane wind coming from the left. We do have some approach lights that seem to be a little high. That's why we're staying right, of course, so that we can, well, not clip those approach lights on the way in. Not sure if Appleton's approach lighting system is actually that tall. It seems a little taller than it is in real life. But as I was saying, we need this to be a squeaker of a landing. So rate my landing in the comments.
Nice landing, pilot. Transporter from dispatch. Clear the runway and taxi to parking.
Appleton Ground, this is November 1 Hotel Tango, clearing runway 30 at Bravo, looking to taxi to the ramp.
November 1 Hotel Tango, this is Appleton Tower. You are cleared to taxi to the ramp at your own discretion. We're pretty dead here. Ain't nothing going on in Appleton. I mean, come on. It's Appleton. Just taxi and park.
Well, that's the most nonchalant taxi instructions I've ever gotten. Well, we're going to go park over there at that fuel pump so that we can make sure we can get some more gas. And again, when you're using Neofly, the amount of gas that you burn counts. So make sure when you're out cruising around, lean the mixture. Make sure you're operating efficiently to keep your costs low so that you can save up and eventually buy that big old 747 that we talked about earlier. But you do have to shut down the airplane appropriately, or else the mission won't complete.
Pilots stand by. The cargo is being removed.
So as the cargo gets removed, let's go ahead and open up our Neofly menu, and you can see the mission is still there. It's not showing that I have completed that mission just yet because I still haven't emptied out all the cargo. But you can see right down there at the bottom, all of the experience points I got, the benefits I got from having a nice landing, the fuel cost associated with that flight, how much it's going to cost me to add more gas to the airplane. It adds all of those
Transporter,
campaign
the cargo
features
has
that
been
you would
delivered.
expect
Nice
from
work.
running your
Have a nice day.
own cargo operation. It looks like I made about $2,162, given that we started
Let's
with
get
about
out of
$5,000.
here.
And there's so much more nonsense that you can get up to in Neofly. It is not just cargo and passengers. You can move hazardous or illegal cargo, if you know what I'm saying. You can move VIP passengers. There's also firefighting, skydiving, and banner towing missions. There are so many reasons to continue to use Microsoft Flight Sim as more than just a training tool, as more than just a burn some kind of time tool. It is fun. It's a game. And Neofly adds that fun and gaminess to Microsoft Flight Sim. So if you do go and download it, just let them know Cheese Pilot sent you. Again, they're not paying me to make any of these comments or make this video, but just let them know Cheese Pilot sent you. And as always, keep it cheesy.